팀은 근데 전 라인이 전부 다 라인전도 안 밀리는 편이어서 해봐야 할 것 같아요. 이번 시즌은 벌써 반이 거의 다 지나갔는데 저의 목표는 일단 플레이오프 가고 플레이오프를 일단 먼저 가서 올라가는 거예요.
Very PC answer there coming out of Athena in the end. He definitely talks in the way that I expect him to talk as well. Like I don't think I've seen a feature from Athena for a long time. It's like, well, yeah, that's pretty much it.
We call Athena the Sleeping Beauty in the English LPL cast because he's always so far back in his seat, like slumped down. And for a lot of 2017, it felt like he was asleep at the wheel. He wasn't very active. We were having a lot of questions, why don't they reach out and try to find a sub mid laner? We did recently see Mole and Chieftain step in for the jungle and mid lane positions. But this game, like, maybe that lit a fire underneath Athena because he is on fire. That Talia was beautiful in game number 1. I hope to see the exact same thing in game number 2. Although I have a feeling that Yagao is going to have a better matchup this time around because they're on red side.
Yeah, they have decided to choose that one. In fact, JD chose to be on the red side in this one. Now, Frusk, you were coming at me with some mad predictions coming into the banning phase. So why don't you go through them for JD?
So my belief is that JD from red side will ban Olaf, Azir, and Camille. Against their games for Vici, Uzihoon, also a very prominent Azir player, they banned it all 3 times, and they also played all 3 games on red side.
Yeah.
And Athena kind of shares that same commonality there. Again, it's a shared champion pool, and I just feel like after the recent performance, Yagao is not going to want to try that again. Like, I understand the idea, grabbing the Azir, knowing that you run into a 5v5 team comp, but I feel like JD, they have a strong enough coaching staff that they're going to pull a 180 and just try to hit BLG really hard in the mid to early game.
Now, what are BLG going to do? Are they going to look towards the mid lane, the top lane?
I think it's going to be a Galio Rise and a jungle ban, probably a Sejuani, or some sort of initiation-oriented jungler.
Something like a Zac.
Jarvan, Sejuani, Zac, one of those. Typically, Athena doesn't play the Rise. He's reached out a couple of times on it, but historically throughout 2018 LPL so far, they've almost always banned it, especially when the Azir is banned. We'll see if maybe they've mixed it up and Athena feels more comfortable grabbing a Cassiopeia, because then that could free them up a bit more onto the blue side. But it's also just a good ban to throw at any competent mid laner, and it fits JD's style.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see if that rings true as we get into Champions League very shortly, coming into the second game here. But I don't know, Frusk, I just kind of get the feeling we're going to be coming in for a 3-game series here.
Yeah, it felt very back and forth. JD again showcasing how well that they can also play from behind. We already know that BLG play from behind because they do it almost every single game. As you can see, Xiao and Vincent on your screen back there. Vincent, the guy in the middle, is part of the English broadcast from time to time as well. Lovely guy.
Yeah, he was. He did an interview the other day, in fact, in English for us. Alright, so the reason why we stopped talking for a second, go ahead, Frost, you take this one.
So the translation, our producer just came into our ear and he was translating the sign for us, and he says, so the sign was calling for both the casters to lose weight. So Xiao is getting some serious shade from the fans right now. Xiao, of course, the former support of Invictus Gaming, the legendary Sona himself, left casted a bit of the LCK and is now back to cast the previous WE versus IG game.
But man, how's that feel if someone actually goes out of their way to make a sign to say that? Like, it's not that they just made a post on Weibo. It's like, no, they actually came out here and they made a sign and then they held it up to the camera.
And of course, the other guy on the side is SKIRmishes, the famous Name support, previously of Positive Energy, has an LPL title to his name. That would be 2013, all the way in spring. You know who else was on that team?
Who else was on that? Luca?
How does that make you feel?
Man, that is not a name I've heard for, well, it makes sense it hasn't been a name I've heard for years, but wow. That was a blast from the past.
Luca, Devil, and SKIRmishes. SKIRmishes and Devil almost single-handedly, well, they did single-handedly carry an LPL team to an LPL title. It was an incredible run to watch, is why I hold Name in such high regard. If you didn't catch it, his previous name was Devil. He then became Name. He then went to EDG, and then he disappointed everyone at Worlds. It was a very sad tale.
But we still, even today in like 2018, will compare AD carries to some of the old guard, you know,
Name
like
was
Name.
the greatest when he was playing domestically at the time. I wasn't the only person who said it. Monty did a segment on it. A lot of people agreed with the assessment, and unfortunately, when the spotlight was shining, he was blinded, he couldn't perform, and this is also why we have to hold Uzi in high regard, because when that spotlight is on Uzi, he does perform.
He does. Except in finals. But outside of that, Always perform.
Except domestically, but he'll get a shot. But both these teams, they have their shots right now. We said that this was probably going to be a preview for the upcoming playoffs.
Yep.
BLG currently sitting in, I believe, 3rd in their conference right now, whereas JD are sitting outside playoff contention in 5th. That said, I fully predict that they will be that 4th place team that goes in, which means that they would face BLG for the first round of playoff gauntlet.
And that's the interesting thing about the LPL, because both teams are actually 6-6, but they're in different positions in their own respective conferences, because cross-conference exists, which means that you can pick up extra wins or you can pick up extra losses in these 4 weeks of play. So both these two teams would definitely like this win here for sure to try and eke into playoffs, which will be coming up in just a few weeks from now.
Yeah, and it means so much more for little JD right now because they have a very stacked group with Rogue Warriors, Invictus Gaming, and RNG. It's pretty much between them and Suning right now as that 2-horse race is starting to heat up.
All right, let's see how the FLICKR and prediction
I
held
was
up,
wrong!
shall we? JD Gaming, Azir, you got that one. Vladimir comes out.
To be fair, they banned Olaf on this side, which means that they didn't have to ban Olaf
They
on
weren't
that side.
able to ban it.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. And then we'll have the Olaf come out there.
And then
it's
it wasn't the
Alistair.
Camille pick that would be targeted at Amazing J, it was the Sion pick. So still a top lane targeted AJ ban.
Okay, so it's all this kind of domino effect of like the first thing and then all of it just kind of goes wrong. But the Galio did get banned in the end from Bilibili Gaming here.
What I find interesting is the Alistar ban. That tells me that Jin Zhao is probably going to play a low mobility AD carry like a Kog'Maw. We know that that is a preferred champion from Jin Zhao, and they wanted to deny Mao one of his signature champions in the Alistar, and he performs very well on it, but open up that safety that there's not a targetable displacement to grab him.
Skarn's going to be priority here from BLG going towards SKS, and JD Gaming will actually just pick themselves up a engaged champion in the form of Zac.
Yeah, no, he flashes the Kled right now. He went for the Swain into the Sion matchup. Of course, that's not available there. Kled does great into Sion. He is very difficult to deal with.
He does do well. That is a good top lane matchup, has been drilled into me by Clement. And it will be in the end just a Xayah going towards the bottom lane for RD.
I would love to have seen the Sivir Zac composition, but Xayah makes a lot of sense. We've seen the LPL bouncing back and forth with it. She's very safe. She is almost guaranteed to hyperscale into the late game. The only issue is getting over that hurdle of 2 to 3 itemization. It takes a little bit longer, more of that crit-oriented ADC instead of the on-hit ADC. But against Bilibili Gaming, you're pretty much guaranteed to reach that time point anyway.
You will find a late game, regardless of what happens in the early game, almost always. BLG going to be picking up the Ryze here for Athena. So we were just talking about the fact in the break that I think we've actually seen Athena play a lot of Ryze. Usually looks towards those bans and doesn't pick up for himself.
Yeah, so early on in Bilibili Gaming's 2018 spring split, they had to permaban Ryze and Azir on blue side or red side respectively, because Athena just didn't feel comfortable taking the champions unless they had the priority pick to grab the Azir. Since then, he has gotten more confident. He has picked up the Ryze. It's not, Xiao who's Ryze, but he's been slowly climbing it up. So definitely putting in the time, putting in the effort. Bilibili Gaming are known as the hardest working team in the LPL, and we'll see if it pays off for Athena, because it looked great in game number 1.
Definitely workhorses. BLG also going to pick up Rakan for Road. Now, it's what we were talking about last game as well, the fact that Road doesn't really matter what the AD carry is, he's going to pick up the Rakan since he is just a damn good Rakan.
But this also means that he's opened up to the Rakan counter. Hello, LCK. This is the LCK counter. Leona can tag on to Rakan with the Zenith Blade, follow him when he zips back to his ADC, and suddenly she has a 2-for-1 special and just starts punching whoever she wants in the face.
Yeah, it's not quite the fervor Leona of old, but it's still pretty damn good. Going to be a Tristana ban, though, towards BLG at Jin Zhao. Cassiopeia at Yagao here, starting to ban out those big damage carriers in the mid lane. And JD Gaming, final ban towards them, or for them.
I'm curious what the mid lane pick is going to be for Yagao. He's also a really nasty LeBlanc player. Also has the Talia available to him. Would be able to match a lot of the Ryze pushing and the zoning out into the side lanes. So also an option unless it gets banned here.
And it's going to be a Caitlyn towards Jin Zhao. So taking away a lot of these late game options.
Yeah, they pretty much had the exact same read. It's an Alistar ban, probably going to be looking for a hyper carry or a crit damage carry. So they ban away Tristana and Caitlyn. The Kog'Maw is still left open, and there's the Talia I was talking about. Yep,
that's going to be the final ban towards Yagao. Now looking towards JD Gaming. What are they going to pick up for that mid lane? I'd be surprised if it was the Karma. He's not really the Doinbeat type person, but Syndra will definitely be in the wheelhouse of Yagao. If he picks up Karma, he'll definitely just go full AP.
The nice thing is that it works really well with the competition. I like to call Karma comps the Mazda comps, the Zoom Zoom.
Okay.
You make them speed up, you've already got a Zac and a Leona, so you have some insane long-range engage options, and I just love how it all falls together.
Yeah, and there is a Karma in the end. We'll be Leona into the bottom lane here. Also,
Jin Zhao's like, there's no way I'm playing Kog'Maw into this. You guys are nuts. That is a Zac. That is a Leona. I need some sort of safety. But then you sacrifice on damage.
yeah, BLG will lock in the Ezreal for the AD carry position, and now look towards their top laner for Amazing J. There is no Sion, unfortunately, so it won't be any more MVP Sions in the second game. But it could be a Gangplank. We've definitely been seeing less and less Gangplank recently, which has been nice.
Would work with the composition though. You drop the Gangplank ultimate behind JD, and then Skarner and Ryze just get to run up for free. Also creates safety that when they attempt to dive the backline, you also drop your ultimate onto your backline and prevent them, or at least punish them from just standing in all of that damage.
It's actually both top laners which have made it all the way to the end of the draft. Frost looking a little aghast there, as was some hovers.
I was
out.
ready to see Darius. I've been seeing him all day in my solo queue, but Camille makes a bit more sense.
That's because we're in China, but it will in the end just be Camille into the top lane against the Gangplank for Zoom. So just going to go back to basics here. 60% win rate on that champion.
And also against the Ezreal, again, you could see that they were starting to make the composition of the blueprint for Jin Zhao's Kog'Maw. They start picking up things like a Zac and a Leona, and they're like, I dare you, mate, to do it. He decides to opt for the Ezreal, and then the final touch is that Camille, which Ezreal's mobility doesn't mean anything to her. She's going to find you in the back line, she's going to lock you down, and she is going to kill you. So I feel like JD have a lot of well-rounded answers. I like how the composition fits together. It is a bit binary, though.
Why is it binary?
It's got one direction on it.
Is that forwards for us?
It definitely is forwards. Now, possibly you could say that if Camille gets snowballed ahead, that she can try to 1v1 out into a side lane, but she has to have kill pressure, because she's never going to have the pushing pressure against Gangplank late game in a side lane, or Ryze for that matter.
Yeah, Gangplank's going to just scale on up into this kind of annoying monster that sits in the side lane and then joins the team, and is also just annoying in the team fight as well. And looking towards JD's composition as well. So we didn't see the bans come through that we were maybe expecting, but we are looking at the composition in full. Move towards red side. Oh, rather I should be talking BLG. I don't know why I was going that direction. BLG, again, looking towards usually the team fights, moving towards the later portions of the game.
The nice thing is they have a really nice bridging composition, so they have options for the late game like the Gangplank, for the mid game in the Ezreal, and even some early game potential because you have Ryze Skarner. So even though you usually wait for the level 6 on Skarner before he can be really effective, since he has that automatic lockdown CC from the Ryze Rune Prison, he could just wander into the mid lane and start punishing people.
Maybe not quite as effective as the constant ganks we saw from that Java in the last game coming out of Clid, but we'll still attempt it in this game with that Ryze into the mid lane. Also interested to see how Athena operates with the Ryze pick, since we haven't seen a whole bunch of it from him, but he has definitely moved towards that champion here on 8-4. Definitely a very dominant champion on this patch. Let's see if he can make this happen as we get into game once more. Get onto the rest for Bilibili Gaming and JD Gaming for Game 2 here. This could be our last one of the night before we get to our show match. So once the games end today, make sure to stick around because we'll have even more content for you. We'll see some of the old pros we were just talking about just a little bit earlier as well. So if you want a blast from the past, then stick with us.
Yeah, some crazy legacy players. I saw Name on the docket, some Big Brother God going on the docket.
Man, that really is a blast from the past.
Yeah, it is. Interesting. Let's take a look at the keystones. Everything looking pretty satisfactory there.
Everything seems to be in order. Yeah,
2 Kleptos. That's always fun.
Yeah, of course on the Ezreal now. Moving into the jungle, JD, we're looking for small invade here. Didn't get too deep, but did place one ward over the wall into the red pit, so they will see SKS on his first camp.
It's also a Sapphire Crystal start on GP.
It is. It is indeed.
Of course, on 8.4, he did have adjustments to his mana and the barrels, as well as the timers. So maybe AJ trying to compensate for that. I personally haven't seen this start in the LPL.
Yeah, it's a little bit risky, obviously, because you don't have any combat stats, but it means that
he's going to sit back and farm is what it means.
Yeah, pretty much. But he has to be confident enough that Zoomson's not going to just murder him in the first couple levels, into this Camille matchup.
Likewise, the fact that Clid did start bottom side, both junglers know this and both teams are aware because there were 2 leashes as well as a ward on the red buff itself. So needs to make sure that the wave is prepped accordingly in the top lane so he doesn't leave himself exposed.
I'm just taking a look towards this mid lane as well. Yagao just constantly landing these Qs onto Athena, so just trying to poke him down on this Karma right here, but they should be able to farm it out in the mid lane. Moving towards the bot lane, RD and Lumao. Going to have this Leona and Xayah combination here, just picking that Leona to try and counter out the Rakan, but this is Rose Rakan at the end of the day. It's a pretty good Rakan.
And what I love about both these compositions, now that we see them on the Rift, is who's going to execute better on pretty much just running straight forward into the back line. So we talked about how you drop the GP ultimate, and Skarner, you know, zips and zooms and tries to run you down behind the slow. Rakan also using the quickness, trying to dive down to the back line. And then you've got Zac, Leona, and Karma. Here we go.
So it jumps in, lands a stretching strike, and will drag in Amazing J. Just be annoying more than anything else. And SKS was also around the top side to turn that into a 2 versus 2. If that turned into anything more.
But Clid is going to get vision that the Scuttle Grab was just taken, so he's aware that Skarner is on the top side of the map, should place down his trinket or gather some security vision for Yagao, so he would be aware of any possible gank coming from top side of river.
And Zac's just going to go back to his jungle. Yagao is chasing down the Rise once more, the minion wave coming in. And completely whiffs the Soul Flare, so Athena will get the better of the trade.
Creep wave, he missed the Rise.
But he didn't miss the ground, which he did hit in the end, so at least he got something out of it. Bot lane, it's 2 versus 2. Ezreal's got the wave pretty much just kind of frozen at his tower right here.
It's a really bad wave position for Leona. There's really nothing she can do for any sort of trade windows here unless someone walks up to her. She doesn't want to try to follow with the Zenith Blade because that's a very easy flash pull into a tower or an arcane shift into tower.
It's not particularly fun. Wants to try and either reset that way, push it in, bounce it,
or just let it slowly
roll back. But that's going to take a long time. But we'll see how the bot lane minion wave resolves itself. And maybe a jungle comes down as well. Who knows? Clear's looking towards the top side, seeing if he can find a gank. But Amazing J, he's already on his way back to base. We'll see if he just picks up an early Sheen.
Didn't get a lot of valuable Klepto procs while he was up there. It's a super greedy build there. So Sapphire Crystal start with a bunch of pots, takes the risk and the gamble that he's not going to be ganked, so he'll have the trading power of the Sheen now in a very early laning phase, but he's still incredibly fragile.
Oh yeah, 100%. But he's gotten past that little hump there that you have in the early games. So the Gambit definitely paid off. Now he's got the Sheen, he can walk back up to the top lane.
Still leaves him exposed for a gank, though.
It does, but if I've come this far and I haven't been ganked, then, you know, the probability says that I won't be ganked for the rest of the game, right? While in the bottom lane, we've got Engage coming out from the Rakan, but now he wants to back away because Leona, she doesn't take damage early game because she has Eclipse and the Aftershock. So Mao actually pushes up a little bit too far. Jinda's going to get a lot of damage from this one, following up with the auto attacks and the Mystic shot. It's going to be close with the Essence Flux, fast after, but the Eclipse is back up, cleared over the wall for the counter gang. This could be disastrous for BLG, but they are able to disengage. Jin Zhao jumped on again, and this is Leona is going so deep, trades her life with the AD carry, and that's going to be the Rakan dropping.
Mao making the hero play, making sure that 2 kills are picked up right there. Cleared a little bit late to the gank rotation, but it all pays off because a huge overcommit from BLG.
Wow, that was absolutely massive. 1 for 2 trade. JD get the better of that one for sure, and RD will also get the extra minion wave, so puts him even further ahead in that lane. Plus he picked up a kill.
And that's where Leona wants the wave. She wants it so you have a long way to run back to your tower. Was a bit arrogant from Road to think that he could trade so powerfully there. Maybe was thinking my creep wave's here first. We have a slightly larger creep wave, so if she dives into the back minion, she's going to be punished for it. In the end, it backfires, and 2 kills now on Clid and RD wow, sorry. Every time I look at RD's name, I want to say Gerd.
Gerd.
He's Gerd.
Oh yeah, I see the GRD as well. I don't know why. I think it's because I look at JD Gaming as JD. And then I just see the rest of the word. So,
sorry about that. I was trying to put English out of my mouth. And,
I was calling him GRD for an entire week, so don't even worry about it. You guys get pushed back in the middle lane, constantly taking these Essence Flux damages, or Spell Flux, I should say. Too many fluxes in this game. And in the bottom side, it's just difficult, you know, engaging onto Leona, because in the current patch, like, she's just a ball of stats early game. Like, she has a pretty good amount of health, and then, like, over 100 armor when she gets Eclipse and Aftershock in the early game. Like, literally levels 1 to, like, 4, she has over 100 armor and magic resist.
Yeah, Keystone and the adjustments to the Resolve tree certainly put Leona back into the picture. And again, because Xayah is still such a viable champion, it means that Rakan rises up in priority, and so you had to find the answer. Leona has seemed to be the answer.
And I was thinking about engaging there onto Red, but walk it back into lane here.
I was hoping we were going to get a replay of that dive. I'm pretty sure that Mao leveled up underneath the tower because Jin Zhao overcommitted to try to find the last auto attack, and he got a lot of health back. And I was trying to track if it was from the heal or if because he went from level 3 to 4.
Yeah, I'm going to break the fourth wall here. So sometimes you'll hear casters not talk about the play that just happened for a couple seconds and then wait for the replay and then talk about the replay. But he did really come, so
we don't get
fine.
to pick the replays. We are here for the ride. I'm just buckled into this roller coaster.
We're just talking monkeys. We just we sit here in our little box, talk about the game. Wow, that's in range of the ward. Wow, that sucks. SKS is going to be spotted out by that one.
Wow, that sucks.
Yeah. So he's just going to be seen, and then he'll go into the river and pick up the crab.
It means that Clid now has information, who's also slipped behind Vision. Another 3v3, but Mao is in.
But the engage has already come out because Mao was deep, but he just has so much health and tanky stats, he doesn't take any damage whatsoever. And SKS, now he's in a horrible position, and he gets slapped together with the minion. Now Kiss.
Exactly, now Kiss. The big game changer there was possibly the fact that AJ's ultimate was going to come through, but it was the ward. The fact that SKS was not only spotted by the ward, but he was spotted about 15 seconds on the ward, gave Clid enough time, and he's in again.
He's still there, and Road, he flashes
flash.
away. Really good stuff out from Clid. Can he get in range with the stretching strike? That's the question. Flash of the one, Clid has no way of following. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Zoom is deep, and that's read by Amazing J, but he still dies.
How'd that Sheen first go for you?
Not well.
That is a 1v1 solo kill at 8 minutes in the game. Likewise, the Hex Flash, hello.
Was charging that one up. He's going to take a bunch of damage from this one, but Eclipse means it's okay. RD almost getting that kill onto Road.
Round 2, Clid,
and
go!
Clid, I mean, he's just going to walk into lane right there. He should still have his passive, so he jumps in, stretching strike, elastic slingshot, but doesn't choose to stay in there.
Okay, this is just silly now. Everyone back up. Skarner and Rice started to rotate. Everyone knew they were coming. Let's not get too crazy here.
Just be happy. Just cut your winnings when you're ahead. So 4-1 right now.
Some yakety sacks right now in the bot lane, though. Although, speaking of yakety sacks, up in the top lane, that 1v1 kill. Zoom also has a Sheen to his name at this point in the game. That's where a lot of that damage proc is coming from. The fact, beautiful combo there. Gets everything he wants out of that trade.
That was really nice. I mean, just everything was perfectly put together there from Zoom. So able to knock down Amazing J from over half health right there. Now it's almost a 30 CS advantage, and that's relatively rare in top lane matchups for GP into anything. I mean, it has definitely changed on current patch, but like that is a pretty significant advantage without any real pressure coming in from Clid.
Well, when you don't have the sustain, and the thing is when GP made such his early back, he was still sitting on, I believe, 2 pots. So he wasn't trading the pots for the CS, because normally when you're on a champion like Fizz, you'll take a lot of pots and you just pretty much have to resign yourself for the early levels. Okay, I'm going to trade my health bar, but I'm going to get the early gold, and it's going to be enough to sustain me to level 6. GP, of course, his 6 isn't going to mean that much, and he's just getting dominated right now. Didn't use his pots correctly, took weird back timers, itemized, I'm not going to say poorly, but certainly bizarrely.
It was risky.
Yeah,
I mean, like it was
very
intentional,
greedy.
But yeah, it was a greedy and risky build to go for, and it didn't pay off. And this is what we're seeing now.
Yeah, and now look at how punished he is. His minions are focus fire, so it's probably going to push back. Zoom was trying to thin out that wave, but is still continuing to punish AJ and is forcing Athena and SKS to try to dig him out of this hole.
Yeah, Clid is actually on the Krugs right now, so we'll be able to react to this one. He sees them coming up. Skarner lands the Impale right now, but Clid's into the fray. It's going to be the ultimate and the hookshot coming in from Zoom, trying to back away. And now both of the members of BLG underneath this tower. SKS is incredibly low, and Yagao has rotated from the mid lane. It's going to be a value. A Soul Flare comes out, lands onto SKS, but it's not quite enough damage just yet. Clid comes in with another elastic slingshot, and Yagao finds the kill. Athena in the back lines against Clid, but he's completely separated. Amazing J will also fall, and now Athena, he's a man on the run.
Yeah, but this Mazda comp is going to just chase him down.
He's super dead, and Zoom will finish him off. Precision Protocol, 3 kills to JD.
I think I should actually probably call it the Mercedes comp. I think that fits a little bit better.
Yeah, probably.
Gotta be aligned.
Yeah, there you go. But JD gaining huge advantage to them in this early game, and you know we had this inkling just in the break. We were like, this feels like a 3-game series. Well, right now it's definitely looking like a 3-game series.
Yeah, but I was hoping that JD would show some spark of life. They're a very fun team to watch. I enjoy how creative they are. I enjoy the versatility of their compositions. I think that they're a very young team, and like I said in the game number 1, don't necessarily have the patience to write the checks at some of the plays they try to set up. But this time around, it's working much better for them. So the reason SKS is up here again, as well as Athena, is because they're trying to dig AJ out of the hole that he's put himself in. Zoom had control of the creep wave. AJ needed a reset. They wanted to try to punish the Camille, but it takes them so long, and JD have such a perfect read that everyone jumps in on this fight. And again, it's a chase composition. You've got the Karma, you have the Zac, the Camille. You're never getting away from them when you are that deep down the lane.
Yeah, never fight JD Gaming on open ground, because they will find you and they will kill you, and that's going to be multiple kills.
They'll fight
in
you
the
on
top
ground,
lane.
on water, doesn't matter.
They'll follow you to the ends of the earth. And in the bottom lane, Clid looking for another gank into this bottom lane onto Jin Zhao and Road, but not going to happen here as the minion wave will disintegrate and it will back away. But that still puts them pretty significantly ahead of BLG. 2,000 gold here. Just 12 minutes into the game.
You want to talk about significantly ahead. That is 87 to 122 in the top lane and a completed Trinity Force.
Yeah, it's a lot. Clid's going to jump in here, land Stretching Strike, and also find the Big Chicken and drag SKS back in. And we'll take away this minion camp, or this creep camp. Monster camp. That's the one. That's the Badger.
And now it is Siege attempt number 6 on bottom.
Yeah, Clid's going to come in once again. Mao's also closing in from around the side, and Jin Zhao, he's going to be locked down. Solar Flare, perfect combo coming in from the Leona, and he is dead where he stands. Road looking to back away, but he's going to be followed down by the Hextech Ultimatum, and Zoom will finish him off.
Now, the bright silver lining here is that AJ is going to get some time to actually farm up, feel comfortable about this. The downside is there are multiple members of JD in the bottom side. They've also brought the Rift Herald, and so they can attempt to siege into inner tower.
And the other downside is Zoom. His lane partner is 4-0 and 1.
This is actually really cool. JD did this in their 2 series ago where they had an incredible Rift Herald play, and it's very similar to what they're doing right now. So this is what we're talking about. JD are actually a fairly intelligent team when it comes to, we use the word rotations a lot, or their macro play, and they have maneuvers like this. It's just not consistent enough to move them up the standings.
And Herald will net them 2 towers in the bottom lane, as well as teleport back into another charge animation and then die. So JD picked up a bunch of gold off of that play, now over 4,000 gold ahead of BLG. And we're seeing, again, BLG behind in the early game. However, they are now significantly behind in the early game. So it's whether they can actually find that fight later into the game, in the mid game, in the late game, where they are actually able to win it, or they fall too far behind before we get to that point.
And they've got the responsibility on the key members to do so. You have to look at AJ as the guy to watch for BLG in the late game. He's got the game plan. It just takes 1 barrel. Every team and their mother have had that 1 barrel destroy them.
That is true. There's always the possibility for Gangplank to just land that crucial barrel onto the squishy targets. But that is remain to be seen. So we're probably going to see that from 10 to 15 minutes from now. However, we will see the bottom lane from JD Gaming move towards the top side, the 2v2. It's now a 2 versus 1 because J has moved back to the top side. And I'm looking towards Jin Zhao and see what his assignment is, though he is staying in the bottom side of the map.
That's so strange. Sorry, I was looking at Artie and I just read Zaya as Jin Zhao, and I'm like, Pulse, he's definitely in the top side of the map. But I see what you're saying now. It's a faster rotation from JD, and they're looking to try to crack all of the side lane outer towers so they can start pushing vision deeper behind mid lane tower before they attempt to crack that one. And also, the more that Zoom is isolated with AJ, the better time he's going to have.
Yeah, pretty much. Zoom is now pushing in that bottom side, and eventually someone's going to have to address the Camille.
And the thing is we were talking about how it felt to me like a pretty static composition coming out of JD, that they had to run forward, they had to look for the chase, they had to look for the dive, because I assumed that Camille wouldn't get the lead that she needed to have the kill pressure. We'll see if AJ's able to slow it down now. But in a perfect scenario, this situation should just turn into AJ constantly having farm funneled into him, clearing out the waves no problem, and then becoming that big massive threat while Zoom kind of stalls out here.
So JD, they are still good at going forwards as they'll done the stretching strike onto Road and the tower. I'm going to pick up the kill, however, but the minion wave is put in, and Clid has exerted pressure. So the bot tower, or rather the top tower, will be falling here to JD.
And frankly, SKS and Athena just aren't in position right now. There's no reason to lose that type of rotation. It was going to be pretty obvious and transcripted exactly what BLG wanted to do. You don't need to be near the bottom side of the map. GP is just safely farming, and it's a Cloud Dragon, so there's not any trade potential there in terms of objectives. Just bad back timings, not any defensive vision, and they just let that rotation go.
So it will be all outer turrets down now for JD. So I do expect them to go back to base and probably pick up some wards and see if they can encroach that vision onto the jungle now, as we see multiple control wards have just been picked up. So by Mao, and then we'll see if Clid and Co do the same as they push in here, and what their next objective will be. And unfortunately, again, it's another Cloud Dragon to start us off. So And there probably will just be a small objective picked up by JD here.
BLG are actually trying to run the tempo back, so you kind of have to think of back timers like trading balls in soccer or basketball in terms of you're on offense, you're on defense. So BLG were currently on offense, and now they are immediately forced on defense. Their windows of having tempo are so much smaller than JD's right now, and they tried to make the wrong play with it by overextending top lane to force that tower.
Yeah, now a Mao has appeared into his play, looking for the Impale onto Mao, but he's just so damn tanky on his Leona. Now he's getting turned around upon, but that heal will keep him alive for a couple more seconds, executed by the parlay. And JD weren't really feeling it. They didn't go all in that play alongside that Leona.
The curse of being a Leona player. You've got one direction, you're like, are we going in? The team's like, oh man, you're already 20 men deep. He's like, I guess I'm in. I guess I'm dead.
Either you follow me or I'm dead. And it was the latter in that situation, unfortunately. So
it's like the Amumu, when you see the bandage toss go out, you see the animation turn, and you know the player's like, please don't hit.
The regret, the instant regret.
That's I bet Zenith Blade has that 0.5 seconds where it hits you and then she kind of freezes and then she goes. She's like, uh-oh.
I guess I'm going. And the team was not there. So it looked good in theory, but it was also JD only losing just the support from that one. So it is a drop in the ocean. So BLG, it's nice, but it's not going to end the game over. And JD don't end up just all dying on getting the sword, I guess, and then just losing the game.
Eventually you guys are going to have to turn towards this dragon. I was going to say, who's going to get desperate enough? Who's going to... Like, Taco Bell, I could do Taco Bell.
Well, it's like the house chore that you don't really want to do, but you have to do it eventually because, you know, you're going to have to at some point take out the trash. And now JD will eventually take out the trash. The
Cloud Dragon is the dishes of the apartment.
It is. It really is.
Eventually, you just have to eat cereal out of cups. You have to wash a bowl.
I mean, there's nothing enjoyable about it. At least with, like, Infernal Dragon, it's like cooking. Like, there's something to enjoy at the end of it, like a late-game team fight where you're going to be much stronger. But unfortunately, in this situation, there's really nothing for it. Though it will, in fact, be food on the menu because it is Infernal coming up.
Got your clean dishes, got a nice meal to eat them on. It's only going to take 6 minutes, and they're going to be in a pretty good spot in terms of their itemization for when that timer comes up. But so I would say so will BLG, but Jin Zhao, he just does not get a lot of gold. Again, we were talking about this in game number 1. Statistically speaking, he's pretty much on every single bottom metric for ADCs. Doesn't get a lot of gold share, and you can see that in his build. Even though he's on Ezreal, mid-game's supposed to be his thing, he is still really far down the ladder.
Yeah, he's got his Moro mana and probably by the Dragon Spawn who'll have his Triforce, but that'll pretty much be it compared to, you know, RD is... That was interesting. We're going to jump on the spot, and RD indeed will probably have 2 moving on 3 items by then. Moving towards that, of course, core of the crit item AD carry in his Xayah. RD again just finding Road, and this just keeps happening. Going to be dragged towards the control ward. Road backs away once more.
It is still going to be relatively difficult to crack these towers. They have poke from Karma, but the really only threat that JD have is to dive the tower. And diving Ryze, Skarner, GP, I'm going to say that that's a solid bad idea. That's like a hard no.
Yeah, I also forgot that it was the second tower in the bottom lane that was taken by JD. So they actually haven't taken the outer mid tower yet. So it's actually very difficult for them to push and gain ground. However, if Zoom can just kill Amazing J, that's going to be a big benefit for them. Amazing J just very sad, just at the edge of this Hextech ultimate and trying to get it away. But Zoom is unable to follow. He took the entire duration of the ultimate on that one. And somehow Amazing J gets out.
But Zoom proved his point that he can hunt AJ, that he can kill him. It didn't work out that time around. GP was able to retain the flash, but only by the hair on his chinny chin chin.
It was very close. I'm just surprised Zoom was not able to pick that one up. Maybe just use the hookshot too early or something like that. But in the end, well played by Amazing J to get out of that situation, because if he had died, that was almost certainly going to be the mid lane tower.
But this mid lane tower is so important right now because it's pretty much stalling and stomping all of the momentum that JD had tried to build up here. So what they need to do is they actually need to start getting that vision line behind the structure and threatening possible flanks or dives and bouncing between these lanes. Right now they just keep A-ramming, running it down mid, and all of the wave clear options on BLG's composition are enough to just delay it. So they're just getting free gold, free time.
Credit to BLG, they are in the right position. I mean, yes, it's scripted, but it takes the team to actually walk up and do it in the first place. There's actually multiple teams in the LPL that I've seen. It's like, well, this is the play that you should make, and they just don't appear. And then the enemy team takes the tower for some reason. So BLG have very much identified what they need to be doing here.
And the duration that it's taken JD to attempt to chip down the mid lane tower has allowed people like Jin Zhao and Athena to get these core itemizations. So BLG starting to feel much more comfortable about this prospect that we're probably going to get smoked out of the mid lane when we fight this Infernal, but at least we'll be ready then.
Yeah, this tower is really not getting scratched whatsoever. So looking towards that Inferno as an objective. Baron has also spawned. It's 21 minutes, moving on 22 minutes. So it is a possibility, but it's a little bit early. Zoom is again in the bottom side, looking for a potential kill. I've seen this one before. Moves on to Amazing J in the exact same position as last time. Holding onto the Hextech Ultimatum and finally uses it, but here's SKS. Can he get there in time? Flashes away, and the Ezreal Ultimate comes across. It will be the kill of the parlay, and once again, Amazing J escapes death.
Sniped right there, and meanwhile there is no response from JD in the mid lane. They are continuing to ARAM, continuing to just spell fling, but they don't have the confidence to look for the dive. I wouldn't recommend it against this composition. What they need to do is, you can see that they started it on the top side of the map, is creep in that vision line, create uncertainty between these lanes, and try to flush BLG out of the mid lane by bouncing waves in the side lanes. Instead, they overcommit towards the bottom side, they give away a free kill, and they don't get anywhere else. Although, hello, why are you
What is going on here?
out of position?
Well, RD and Mao almost took down the tower in the mid lane by themselves. We'll be able to clear this mini wave and live another day, but that was a lot more damage in the mid tower that should have been allowed.
So it was kind of what I was talking about, and where Yagao prepped the top wave and, like I said, flushed them out of the mid lane. Hold on.
Oh, engaging in the mid lane. That's a big barrel onto RD. He's going to throw out the Feather Storm and flash away. Look for the stun down, but it's going to be SKS finding the Impale. But it has to dive in and try and save him. SKS is down, split from his team. Tries to look for the abduction, but doesn't find it in the end, and Road will back away. Athena looking to join the play, but now this push down mid lane looks like it will work out.
Yeah, they've killed enough members right there, finding the pick. So BLG, huge error right there. Looked like miscommunication. Athena actually walked up top lane to grab the wave that Yagao had prepped. Isn't anywhere around to assist his team with an escape or any sort of trade back kill. And now JD are on the Baron.
You fire enough shots, eventually something's going to hit, and that time it did. Finds the pick in the mid lane, the tower goes down, and now moving towards the Baron. Road is pushing forwards, trying to get some vision right here. Yagao is low himself, but it's basically just a karma right here. Clid inside the pit, it's low, going to be smited away by Clid, and now comes the chase. And what's that? JD on open ground, they're going to find at least someone. Amazing J by himself, he's going to stall and allow the rest of his team to get away. But this is a gangplank on the run, and it is actually going to be very fast, so this is going to take a while.
Worth chasing him.
Clid's found him. He's cut off the escape route. No, he just got a bunch of health back. Clid, well, not Clid, RD, can he get in range? He's chasing him down. He's going to get another speed up from this barrel. The rest of the team's closing in from behind. Amazing J.
The end of the road.
I mean, there it is. He's eventually going to die. I was like, there is actually a small chance that he does have teleport, but he eventually dies.
Tries to TP out of it, and unfortunately it's just in time for an Infernal. So it's a double whammy for JD. They're going to grab the Baron, they're going to move over to the Infernal, and then they're going to start sieging onto BLG structures.
Unfortunate, but he did also waste 40 seconds of the Baron
Felt
buff.
like 40 minutes.
Yeah, it did feel like 40 minutes. 40 seconds of the Baron buff,
He's
so
putting in time on the treadmill.
he has, and luckily, you know, it will be only
Ah!
2 to 3 pushes. No, not going to be close. The DPS actually stopped by JD.
I
so.
trusted the Observer. I took the trust fall. I was like,
Yeah.
he's zooming in on that Ezreal ultimate.
Nope. To be fair, the Ezreal ultimate was pretty well timed. Had JD stuck around with their damage carries. I mean, usually carries are damage, but yeah, I mean, the carries onto that dragon, but just has the back away, and now the mid lane tower will die, and they also have this Baron's up cannon minion.
So an issue is that because Jin Zhao went from the Trinity Force instead of the Iceborne Gauntlet, Ezreal doesn't have any sort of AoE wave clear that he would have on an Iceborne Gauntlet proc, and so if Athena and AJ are not next to him, he cannot wave clear at all to stop this siege.
Now they have to go for this engaged. Road jumps in, nice 4-man charm coming out. That's going to be Road jumping in as well. Athena is untouched at the side lanes, doing so much damage, but Camille finds 2 kills onto the Gangplank and the Rakan. Jin Zhao, the 1 versus 1 against Road right here, will manage to pick up that kill, chases down SKS. He's also going to drop 2 kills to the Ezreal, but it's just not enough right here. Zoom has the quadra kill. Can he get the penta right here? No, he can't! Clid, you monster!
Denied from him, but that's also Baroned up creeps as well as a cannon creep now storming down on the inhib. We'll see if they continue to push in. Zoom looks pretty thirsty.
He does, and also there's actually no teleport right. No, there is a teleport coming back into the mid lane. Clid and Zoom are going to be on top of this tower. There is no one to defend. Rose has just respawned, but he would like her carry to try and support him. Amazing Day coming up in 2 seconds, and it looks like JD, they do so much damage to the Nexus. It will be the second game in 26 minutes. We're going to a game 3.
And I feel like JD have found the blueprint. They tried to play it BLG style, go for the 5v5, go for the late game. It didn't work out. They said, never mind. Switch it up. hit him in the early game, start ganking all the lanes, and just steamrolled through Bilibili.
Yeah, credit to BLG. There was a big storm moment when they were able to hold onto the mid lane tower, but it was just a random flop where they just kind of allowed a bunch of damage to go into the tower for no reason, and then just led into a Baron, led into the win in the end for them. Because I was about to say, if that hadn't happened, I'm having flashbacks of like old WE where they don't really do anything in the early game, but then they store and they absorb all of the pressure from the enemy team for so long, and then they just hit 35 minutes, win a team fight, win the game. And I was almost getting to the point where it's like, BLG is... WE, is that you? And it wasn't, because mid lane tower died.
And JD, they had the right idea, they just didn't quite execute it as cleanly the first time around. Again, it was about separating BLG from that mid lane, pushing them out into the side lanes, trying to clear out the waves, utilizing the Karma and the Camille. You've got double teleport, as well as a lot of mobility between the two champions. And it was Athena. He was caught rotating up towards the top side. He was sitting in his jungle, and then that's when the big cannon wave crashed into the mid lane, and they pretty much lost any opportunity to stall.
Yeah, just real big miscommunication there that ultimately led to the end of the game. That's our thoughts. We are going to send it over to the analyst desk to take us through that second game.
Thanks, guys. And we've seen teams use this same drafting strategy before. It's a very recent trend where, you know, you pick up the Zarya, you let them think they're going to split up the combo by taking away Rakan, and instantly Leona gets locked in.
I do not like that draft strategy. We've seen it before in the LPL. Now, Imp and PYL were the ones to do it, but the Ezreal and the Rakan lane is not a lane that works. It doesn't have wave clear. You get pushed in very easily. You don't have a lot of damage to really follow up on kill threats. And, no, just don't do it.
But this game number 2 looked a lot more like what should have happened for JD in game 1.
Yeah. They had the same idea of punishing AJ again in the top lane with a counter pick, but this time it was much better executed. Now, back on 8.4, this was actually a good matchup for the Gangplank, but on this patch, it actually slides much more towards the Camille now that Gangplank has his mana nerfs. And we can talk a little bit about the skill matchup and why Amazing J lost the top lane so hard. Now, what you're supposed to do in the match, and I've seen a lot of shy footage do it, is as the Camille is flying in on her E, you need to detonate the barrel then, so you can get your damage in before the shield, and she's slowed as she comes in. But what Amazing J failed to do is that he was always slow on the trigger a little bit, so he didn't get the damage in before, and that way is how Zoom was able to stretch the matchup. The solo kill here though was mainly about because Amazing J actually used his ultimate, and he should have stood further back behind.
And we saw that solo kill come out from Zoom in the top lane, kind of unlocking that lane itself. And it was very similar to game 1 in the sense that we had lots of aggression coming out from JDG, but it really was a top lane botched attempt that came out from BLG to try and get back into the match, which opened the game wide open for JDG.
Pretty much, and like BLG were definitely looking for something. They didn't have any chances in the bot lane, so they were trying to go up top and try to unfreeze the wave. However, they were spotted on the way there, and Clid once again with the counter gank, able to set up that play and really delay them for so long. Yagal's coming in, your boy Yagal right here, just goes in, doesn't get all of his skill shot, but come on, BLG is pretty much dead after they didn't get the first pick.
I mean, we know that Doinby will pick up the likes of Karma in the mid lane, and a couple of other LPL mid laners will do so as well. And we thought it'd be a big response to the tanks in the mid lane, but really, people are still just picking up some more support champions in the current meta.
Yeah, like support champions are the reason they work so well is because they have a very low threshold. They have if they fail, they don't fail too bad. That's basically it. And in this meta where you have a lot of ganks coming in, you want lanes that can stabilize. And that's what we've been seeing in all 3 lanes. Tanks for the top, hyper carries for the bot, and then the more supportive mid laners to go in the mid lane as well.
And it was the top side of the map that picked up MVP for JDG. Zoom's going to get that one after his solo kill against Amazing J, also being able to control the top side of the map quite well.
Yeah, and this is a huge improvement from Zoom. He's really moving to punish the other top laner. Previously, we've seen him mainly on the Ornn and the Maokai, but in the coming weeks, he's really shaped up as someone that you can give a carry to. That is another point on the map.
Which is something that we see from Amazing J from time to time. He's always on the top lane tanks. He picked up MVP in game 1 playing Sion, but we know he can pick up those carry champions as well. He tried with the Gangplank today, and just didn't work out for him. Gangplank used to be much stronger before patch 8.4. Teams are still trying to use it. We saw a big match being played in the LCK where Gangplank was able to pick up a huge win, but it's just so easy to shut down.
Definitely very easy, and this is the Jingdong we would like to see. Like FLICKR was kept on saying, they like compositions with a lot of mobility where they can front load a side, and I think Clid has just been outplaying SKS for most of the early games.
Oh. JDG were able to be very dominant in game number 1, weren't able to close it out. Game 2 is very different from them, were able to pick up a victory there. That sends us to a 3rd match, but we'll get to that after this break.